Walmart, their foot traffic is down 22% from its peak a few years ago. And year over year, their website visits have dropped 17%. So why is their stock up by 68%? Because they discovered something better than actually selling products, selling ads for products that nobody wants to buy. Welcome to retail media networks. Why they're bullshit. Here's what's actually happening at many of America's biggest retailers. Best Buy. Web traffic cut down 60% from 387 million visits to 154 million. Just in free fall. Target's in-store traffic is down 19%. Macy's foot traffic dropped off by 38%. Bed Bath & Beyond, dead. Circuit City, dead. Toys R Us, dead. But somehow, while stores are emptying because tariffs are keeping products off the shelves, consumers aren't showing up to them because the retail experience is absolutely horrible. And their websites are hemorrhaging visitors, and advertising prices are skyrocketing at the same time. So you have declines in traffic and shopping and visitors to your website and sales, but you're selling more ads than you know what to do with. Why would Walmart CPMs go from $12 in 2020 to $58 in 2024? Target's Roundel increased rates by 40% while their traffic dropped by 20%. They're using something that was made popular in South Park years ago, the Chewbacca defense. More ads, expensive customers, higher stock prices.
It does not make sense.
Unless you understand the scheme. These retailers aren't really that interested in selling products anymore. It's a giant pain in the ass. People return stuff all the time. There's credit card disputes. So the illusion that they're selling stuff far more efficient. And Wall Street is eating it up. Absolutely insane that Wall Street could not be more excited to watch stores that are supposed to sell shit, like actual physical products, start selling ads instead of... All right, let's dig into some of the data that I'm pretty sure retail CEOs pray you never actually come across. All this stuff is totally publicly available. It's all from SimilarWeb, Placer, Earnest Analytics, 3 different sources. Always the exact same story. Walmart Supercenters. Foot traffic down 22% from their 2019 peak. Website organic search traffic down 3.86% month over month, down 14% year over year. Target. Store visits are down 19% from peak. Digital traffic dropped by 31% in Q4 24. Their Cyber 5 traffic share fell by 17%. Best Buy. Man, I spent so many years shopping here. I used to love this place. They went from 387 million web visits in 2020 to 154 million in 2022. 60% of their digital audience gone. During the pandemic, when literally you had to go online to buy shit. They're not just individual retailers either. Mall vacancies are at all, like, the highest since 2008. They're close to 10%. Strip center vacancies, north of 10%. Both of these are, continuing to climb. But here's the insane part. While the physical and digital traffic collapses for these retailers, advertising inventory and cost is exploding. Walmart Connect went from 50,000 ad slots in 2020 to 2.8 million in 2024. They increased inventory by 5,500%, while their traffic dropped by 20%. Economics 101, more supply, less demand, should equal lower prices, right? Wrong. CPMs increased by 380% over that time frame. They're charging 5 times more now for ads reaching fewer people in emptier stores. Let's get into the actual math here, because this is where it gets off the rails insane. In 2019, Best Buy had 1.2 billion annual website visits. Average CPM, $8. Total available impressions, around 10 billion, right? Revenue potential at full sell-through, 80 million. She's totally reasonable. Fast forward to 2024. Best Buy is now down to 480 million annual visits, a 60% decline. But their CPM for that is $45, a 460% increase. Total available impressions, 4 billion. But the kicker, they claim to have more ad inventory now through audience extension and omni-channel targeting, which if you've ever bought through Google's partner network or display networks, you know is hot horse shit. They claim to have these because they're creating what is effectively fake inventory. Basically, they're a hotel with 50% occupancy, claiming they have way more rooms available for everybody because now we're also renting out the closets in the bathrooms. Average Walmart Supercenter, 10,000 daily visitors in 2019, 7,800 in 2024. But their in-store digital advertising screens went from 0 to 170,000 across all stores in that time. They're now showing 17 ads per customer in store versus 0 5 years ago. Fewer customers, more ads, higher prices. That math don't math. Now here's where it gets really fucked up. Walmart stock price is up 123% since 2020. But comparable store sales, they're fairly flat. They're up 3% below, which is not even beating inflation. Their entire stock gain is off of retail media networks. Walmart's retail operating margin, 4.2%. Walmart Connect's operating margin, percent. Every dollar move from selling stuff to selling ads multiplies their profit by 20x. Weirdly, CEO compensation is highly tied at all these stupid retailers to ad revenue. Not business success, ad revenue. Doug McMillon, Walmart's CEO, has 40% of his bonus tied to alternative revenue streams, aka their walled garden retail media network. His bonus for growing retail sales, 15%. His bonus for growing ad sales, 40%. So the CEO makes more money for selling ads than they do for selling groceries at a grocery store. It doesn't add up. Morgan Stanley values Walmart's ad business at $100 billion. The entire company is worth $500 billion. So they're saying 20% of the value of Walmart's value is driven purely from advertising, not from being the world's largest retailer. 20% of that value comes simply from advertising. What this reminds me of a lot, and I think the cycle that we're going to see with it, is newspapers in 2005. You had declining circulation, plummeting subscriptions and readership, but the ad rates kept going up because it was a premium audience. Every time I hear premium audience, undoubtedly they are selling you snake oil when they say premium audience. But when newspapers kept leaning into this premium audience, we know exactly what happened and how it ended. So how do they create all this fake inventory? Like, how are they able to go find, despite declining web traffic, fewer app installs, less time on site, all of these things, they're able to create so much new inventory, enough that retailers can continue to increase their ad buys almost ad infinitum. There's no limit on the number of ads that they will sell you, or, you will not find a place where Walmart Connect goes, you're buying everything you can buy, we won't take your money anymore. So they do a couple different things. They have a technique called audience extension. They cookie you on the site, but then they claim they can reach you anywhere on the internet. Walmart.com has 100 million, ish monthly visitors, but Walmart Connect claims to reach 240 million people. How? They're counting anybody who's ever been to a Walmart and then selling ads to reach them on social media, other websites, all over the place. This is really no different than McDonald's charging Coca-Cola to advertise to people who once bought a Big Mac while they're at home watching Netflix. There is almost no correlation between the two audiences, and there's really nothing that signals intent or premium audience in any way that makes sense. The second thing they do is omni-channel impressions. The same person walks into a store, sees a physical screen, uses app, visits websites. That's counted as 4 unique advertising opportunities. So effectively, they turn that single declining in-store customer into 4 unique impressions. Number 3 that they do is category expansions. I always loved this when I was at Retail Me Not. Any outside of the category pages on Amazon, which I don't know if they're still actually landing pages. They used to be quite valuable as landing pages, better than product pages in a lot of cases. But I don't know how much that has changed. But anybody looking to sell you category expansion, category pages, is trying to steal money from you. So Walmart now sells ads on Roku, TikTok, and random websites through their DSP. So it's not even advertising on Walmart. You're just using them as a middleman to reach Walmartians all over the internet and in different places. So effectively, they went from having limited shelf space for you to sell you advertising to infinite digital space to be able to sell advertising. But the customers didn't multiply. They divided greatly. Weirdly, like this violates every economic principle that people tried to teach me in college. It makes zero sense that retail media CPMs have increased 380%. General digital advertising CPMs have decreased over the same time frame by 22%. Facebook CPMs are down 15%. Google CPMs are down 8%. And TikTok CPMs continue to come down because they don't pass CPM or UTM parameters outside of the platform, but that's different. Every other platform that actually has growing traffic and interest has seen prices decline. Retail media has collapsing traffic and customer bases and these massively exploding prices. Why would advertisers pay more for fewer customers in emptier stores? Unless it's not really about advertising for them at this point. They already know the ship is sinking. So now they're extorting. Nice product you have there. Be a shame if we didn't show it to anybody. I mean, that is effectively they're charging for shelf space, but digital shelf space. You know, from looking at what's been sent out from partners who invest in Walmart Connect, see optimized placements. Roundel advertisers receive priority in modular planning. Translation, you want to get seen, cough up. It's not supply and demand. It's much more a hostage situation. You know, if you go back and you actually listen to the earnings calls, it really is like watching a whole bunch of arsonists describe their fires as alternative heating solutions. Target Q3. Traffic softened, Roundel and delivered strong double-digit growth. Translation, we're bleeding customers out the door, but we charge people a fuck ton more to reach them. Kroger, Q 2024. Alternative profit streams now represent a meaningful contribution to earnings despite challenging traffic trends. Translations, our stores are empty because they're terrible to shop at, but we're extorting a shit ton more from the brands who sell stuff there. Best Buy announces 60% traffic declines. Their stock dropped by 2%. Best Buy announces their expansion of the retail media network into social media. Their stock jumps 8%. That doesn't make sense. Wall Street doesn't seem to care if the stores are empty. They only care about the margins. And right now, nothing has higher margins than charging for access to customers who don't exist. If you look at what the analysts are saying at Goldman Sachs and other businesses, retail media represents the transformation of retailers from a low-margin commodity business into high-margin technology platforms. They're not transforming. They're going from places that sell shit to places that don't sell shit.
It does not make sense.
Their utility to consumers relies on the fact that they can obtain products from them for an attractive price. As that is going away, there's absolutely no reason that consumers would continue to traffic these sites, and you're seeing it in the drop off of numbers. You know what this really reminds me of too? It's like going to the shopping malls now. The foot traffic is really died off. You know, when it was really early days of it, they didn't lower the rents early days. They raised them. They added in a bunch of fees. common area maintenance. They did things like adding beacons so that they could add upcharge and added value to these businesses. All of them are just trying to extract maximum value from declining assets, which is kind of the private equity nature of our business culture that's really kind of screwing things up as we go forward, or as we've been coming into the 2000s and 2020s. We look, 1990s, mall traffic peaks, pretty reasonable rents. You could open, cell phone kiosks and other things like that were opening up left and right. 2000s, traffic starts declining, rents start increasing. So as the rents go up, they become less and less attractive. In 2020, we see malls start dying off and rents skyrocketing. 2020's hit, malls are dead, rents are way back down. Retail media is following the exact same path. As physical and digital traffic starts to collapse, they're really trying to extract maximum value through advertising fees prior to the collapse. But for some reason, retailers, analysts, and almost nobody in the media market focus on or talk about it. Let's look at some current retailers. Foot traffic is down 38% at same-store locations, up 45% in media network rates. Penny. Traffic down 44%. What's the answer? Launch a brand new retail media network. Bed Bath & Beyond, they launched their retail media network too late, just 6 months before bankruptcy. They're not really pivoting to advertising because it's the future. They're pivoting to it because they have no other way to mask the decline in their businesses. And here's what really happens. So Emma sees a product on TikTok, 2.3 billion daily video views in the US. She checks Instagram with their 500 million daily story views. She reads about it, a product review on Reddit, where 430 million monthly users. And she watches YouTube reviews about the product as well, with their 2.7 billion monthly users. Maybe she goes to Walmart.com, 100 million monthly visitors, 4% of the traffic of the platforms that actually drove her there. So where all of the discovery and research phase of her consumer journey took place, very little value put in. But on the transactional side, once that intent has already been set by the social platforms and by the media there, she goes to the transactional platform. But that transactional platform, in this case Walmart, ends up claiming 100% attribution. They're taking credit for the entire journey, effectively because they have a walled garden that also processes transactions, even though their parking lots are largely empty, and their website continues to see declines in traffic. If you look at this, 67% of product discovery happens on social media, 23% on search engines, 6% at retailer websites, and 4% in physical stores. The retailers control about 10% of discovery, but in many cases are now claiming 100% of the attribution. And then on top of it, charging premium prices to access that 10%. While the 90% that actually drives demand among new audiences gets undervalued greatly. So I decided to make up my own new metric because I like math and being nerdy. This is called it's a P to G ratio. Price to ghost. Not Call of Duty related, but it is CPM divided by actual traffic. The higher the number, the more you're going to pay to advertise to nobody. So we have a visual here. Walmart's PGR, 3.4. You're paying 3.4 more to reach fewer people. Target's PGR, 4.1. Even worse than Walmart, which for years you would have never said about Target. Best Buy, their PGR is 0.7. You're literally advertising to ghosts. And I don't know if you've been in their stores, but it looks like they're no longer stocking. It's just throwing boxes out in the middle of a warehouse. Macy's PGR, 12.3. I mean, holy shit. I kind of feel like that should be illegal. But if you want to advertise to, the 5 people who can still get to a Macy's and who are still shopping in store at Macy's or Macy's.com. Be my guest. By comparison, if you look at healthy platforms that are showing growth, the most efficient PGR you can find right now, TikTok, more users, lower prices. Above them, just by a little bit, YouTube. Their PGR sits right around 0.8. Their prices have declined overall as traffic has grown. Instagram, PGR, 0.09, sustainable pricing. So what we're seeing is every platform with growing traffic has a PGR ratio below 1. Every dying retailer has a PGR number north of 3. So effectively what you're paying for is premium pricing to access declining audiences. One more time for the people in the back. Rising prices, falling traffic, record profits.
It does not make sense.
So how do you stop paying for ghosts and start reaching actual real customers? First, audit your traffic, real traffic, no audience extension or partner network bullshit. How many actual people are actually visiting your actual stores and websites? When they show you 240 million reach for 100 million visitors, you should be calling them on that. It's bullshit. Secondly, calculate the PGR. Take their CPM and divide it by the actual traffic change year over year. If it's above 1, you're overpaying for that traffic. It's above 3, you're getting robbed. Like if it's above 5, you might as well throw the money in the bag and toss it out a window. It's just as effective, if not more. Third, follow the actual traffic. TikTok, 1 billion users, growing. Instagram, 2 billion, growing. YouTube, 2.7 billion, still growing. Retail sites, declining, dying, desperate, not attracting new customers in store. I have seen huge increases from brands, working with brands. One client of ours was able to move $5 million out of retail media into social commerce. Result, 63% increase in sales and a 71% decrease in CAC. Why? Because they went from where the customers where they thought their customers were to where they actually are, instead of paying gatekeepers to lie to them. Number 4, document. When they threaten your shelf space, screenshot. Claim bullshit metrics, screenshot. Like at some point, the FTC is going to figure out and come looking. And all of this is going to be a huge problem for the retailers. Retail media networks are charging more money to reach fewer and fewer people in emptier stores and on declining websites. They're selling massively expensive ads for ghosts because their actual businesses are dying. But these legacy ad dollars that they're taking show they're able to pull them from programmatic ads where they're rife with fraud and other channels into one where they're just highly inefficient and not reaching actual customers. The only reason that this works at all is that Wall Street values advertising margins over actual retail performance for retailers. But for retailers, Wall Street has shown repeatedly a dollar of ad revenue is worth X, a dollar of actual sales. So retailers are standing by their shareholders and they're abandoning their core business to chase margins that shouldn't exist. And effectively, that end up kind of having them burn out like a firework, right? This will go boom. We have lit the fuse. At some point, and you'll have a very little, the bottle rockets will start to pop on at the top. So this really only ends one of two ways. Either brands start to figure it out and they stop paying for access to customers who no longer exist or don't shop that way anymore, or retailers are really going to transform from stores into like recommendation platforms where you can showroom stuff in person, but overall you end up with more expensive ads, fewer customers, and higher stock prices for retailers.
It does not make sense.
No, it doesn't. And when something doesn't make sense in business, it's usually because somebody is lying to you. Thank you very much. Please subscribe, like, comment. And if you as a brand need help or have questions, please reach out.